is the famous cornstalk fiddle. Now, you must realize, ladies and gentlemen, this is a rather primitive instrument, somewhat limited in its tonality. I think I've got it in tune now. And this is the fiddle bow. And you have to, have to put rosin on a violin bow. In this case, you have to rosin the strings, too. Get them so they make a beautiful sound. Now, shall I render for you a tune with variations? Theme and variations, you know?
Yes.
See if you recognize the tune. What is it? You want a variation on Skip to Maloo? What was that verse? Lost my partner, what'll I do? Sing it. Lost my partner, what'll I do? Partner, what'll I do? Lost my partner. Get me another one pretty as you. Get me another one pretty as you. Pretty as a red bird, prettier too. If you can't get a red bird, a blue bird'll do. I like this. You can't get a biscuit, cornbread'll do. You can't get a biscuit, cornbread'll do. Get a biscuit. One boy came up with 3 rhymes, and it was this. I got a gal, eats turnips raw, brushes her teeth with a handful of straw, combs her head with a crosscut saw. Skip to Maloo, my darling. Well, we better get still on the tale. I'm going to tell you a tale about a little old woman, little old man, a little girl, a little boy, and they lived way up in the mountains, and they had a little pet squirrel that used up on the mantelpiece. He stayed up on the fireboard above the fireplace, and that's where he stayed. He used up there. And one day the old woman said to the little boy, I declare I'm plumb out of baking soda. Now, son, you'll have to go down to the foot of the mountain there and go to the store and bring back some Sody Salyratus. That's just an old name for baking soda. Salyratus. Now, don't forget what you're going after. Get going now, son. And he started marching out the door and marching out to the public road, marching, saying, Sody, Sody, Sody Salyratus, Sody, 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 march, Sody Salyratus, take your hands like their feet, Sody, Sody Salyratus, Sody, 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 cross the bridge into the store, and the storekeeper said, yes, I heard you. So he had to bring eggs to barter. They didn't have money in these old days. They had to swap things, and so he handed the storekeeper a little brown paper poke with the eggs in it. And they didn't package baking soda in those days. He handed the little boy a little brown paper poke with the baking soda, Sody Salyratus in it. And the little boy went back across the bridge, Sody, Sody, Sody Salyratus, Sody. He was having such a good time singing that silly song that. But under the bridge was a great, big, old, ugly, mean-tempered black bear. And when that little boy come marching across his bridge, that big old ugly, great big old ugly, mean-tempered black bear come scrambling up under that bridge and ran up in front of that little boy at the other end of the bridge, and the little boy said, oh, gee willikins, golly gosh. And the great big old ugly, mean-tempered black bear said, there you come, making a racket over my head, you and your Sody Salyratus. I'm going to swallow you up. And he did. Swallowed the boy right down. Well, back at the house, the little old woman and the others waited. And I declare it's taking that boy the longest to get back here with that Sody Salyratus, and we'll not have no biscuits here tonight if he don't get on back here with that Sody Salyratus. Honey, you go see what's happened to that boy. The little girl started that. Don't forget what you're going after now. And she went skipping out the door. Sody Salyratus, Sody Sally, come on. Sody Salyratus, Sody Sally. Down the mountain, across the bridge, into the store. Asked the storekeeper about the little boy, and he said, why, he's been here and gone. It was quite a while back. Yeah, several minutes ago he left. Oh, well, he's being a kid. I reckon he stopped to play in the creek. So she had to go looking for him. Back across the bridge she went skipping. Sody Salyratus. And under the bridge was a great, big, old, ugly, mean-tempered black bear. And he come thrashing and busting through the bushes and ran up in front of that little girl. And what did she say? Help, Mama! And the great, big, old, ugly, mean-tempered black bear said, yeah, I done swallowed a little boy, him and his Sody Salyratus. Here you come, making a fuss over my head, disturbing my rest. And I'm going to swallow you up, too. Swallowed her right down. I declare it's taking them two kids the longest to get back here. We done waited and waited, and I declare we can't have no biscuits unless that Sody Salyratus gets here. Old man, you better go find out what them blame kids are up to. Now, go on down and get them young'uns back here. Be sure that boy's got that Sody Salyratus. So the old man went marching, tromping out of the door. Deep voice now, kid. Sody Salyratus, Sody Salyratus, Sody Salyratus. Down the mountain, across the bridge. Sody Salyratus, Sody Salyratus. Into the store. Asked the storekeeper. He said, why, yeah, them kids, both of them, they done been here and gone. Well, you know how kids are. I guess that little girl, little boy, both of them must have stopped to play in the creek. So the old man had to go looking for him. Back across the bridge he went. Stomp, 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 stomp. And under the bridge was that great, big, old, ugly, mean-tempered black bear. And when that old man went tromping back across the bridge, he come thrashing and scratching and scrambling and busting through the bushes and briars and ran up in front of that old man. The old man said, great jumping Jehoshaphat. And the great big old ugly mean-tempered black bear said, I done swallowed a little boy, him and his Sody Salyratus, and I done swallowed a little girl, and here you come disturbing my nap, making a racket, stomping over my bridge, and I'm gonna swallow you up too. Swallowed the old man. I declare, I don't see why in the world that old man and them young don't get back here with that Sody Salyratus. Oh, law, if you're going to get anything done, there's only one way to do it. You got to do it yourself. So she put a bonnet on her head and tied it under her chin, took her big old staff. She was had rheumatisms. And she went hunching out the door and hunching out to the public road and hunching down the mountain. She didn't say anything. Why? She knew what she's going after, right? And she kept on going and crossed the bridge with our old staff, hunching into the store, and asked the storekeeper. And he said, well, I declare, ma'am, I just don't understand it. Them two kids, and that old man, he started back. Surely that old man ain't stopped to play in the creek. Well, the little old woman had to find him. So she went hunching back across the bridge, and under the bridge was that great, big, old, ugly, mean-tempered black. And he come scrubbling and kicking up dust and tearing through the blackberry briars and ran up in front of that little old woman. And she said, oh, sakes alive, mercy me. And the great, big, old, ugly, mean-tempered black bear said, I done swallowed a little boy, him and his Sody Salyratus, and I done swallowed a little girl. I done swallowed an old man, and here you come, making a fuss, stomping and across my bridge, disturbing me, and I'm gonna swallow you up too. Did you remember the little squirrel?
No.
There's always one in the crowd. He was up on the fireboard looking. He'd run. He didn't know what in the world happened to all his folks. He'd run to one end of the fireboard and look out the door, run to the other end. Finally, he got so worried he jumped from the fireboard mantelpiece to a tabletop, to a chair bottom, to the floor, and he shook his tail out behind him, and he went scuttering out the door. And he went scuttering down the road, and scuttering down the public road, and scuttering across the bridge. And he scuttered into the store, and he said, got right up. You know how a squirrel will stand up with tail over his head? And he said, the storekeeper finally noticed him and leaned over the counter and said, huh? And the squirrel said, come on. Well, the storekeeper, being a very understanding man, said, why, yes, they've every one of them been here. That little boy, that little girl, that old man, that old woman. They've been here and left. Surely that old woman, old man, ain't both of them stopped to play in the creek. Well, the little squirrel had to go scuttering back looking for him. And as he went scuttering across the bridge, that great big old ugly mean-tempered blackbird came scrubbling and dashing and scrambling and busting through the briar patches and right up in front of that little squirrel. And he stood right up with his tail just shaking over his head, and he said, and the great big old ugly mean-tempered blackbird, last chance now, said, I done swallowed a little louder. I done swallowed a little boy, him and his Sody. And I done, girl, I done swallowed. I done swallowed. And here you come, skittering and scuttering across my bridge, disturbing me. And I'm gonna swallow you up too. But the little squirrel was too quick for him. He jumped to a bridge rail and ran across the bridge rail, jumped into a tree, and went skittering up that tree and got way up and started skittering out on a limb. The old black bear was clambering right in behind him. And the little squirrel got way out on the end of a limb, and what did he do? He jumped into the next tree. Well, that big old ugly mean-tempered black bear somehow had a hold of that same limb, was coming along on it, and saw the little squirrel jump. And he said, well, now, if you can make it with your little legs, I know I can make it with my big ones. And when he tried to jump, of course, you know what happened. He comes slashing and cracking and tumbling down through the branches of that tree, crackety, slashity, crick, crack, crack, slashity, crack, swish, bump. And when he hit the ground, he busted wide open. And then the little boy jumped out and helped the old man up. The little girl jumped out and helped the old woman up. The little old woman said to the little boy, have you got my Sody Salyratus?